Hello, everybody. Welcome here to today's interview, and I'm very pleased to welcome Alicja Fiderkiewicz. So, welcome, Alicia. Thank you for joining today.
Thank you for asking me. Thank you very much.
Oh, it's a pleasure. So, we just played a video of you there playing a piece by John Mucleod, the first Hebridean dance. So, you recorded that during your lockdown, didn't you?
Yes, I did. I recorded many pieces during lockdown, and because as I was having plenty of recitals in between March and June, and I had such big program, and I just didn't know what to do with it. So I thought, well, I saw some of my very distinguished colleagues making self recordings, and I thought, well, why shouldn't I try? I thought I'll experiment. It's a challenge. So I've
Yeah.
recorded many works, including all the complete Kindersen and Hebridean dances, some Beethoven, Albanese, Chopin, Bach, Schubert. So um, I'm I'm sorry about the quality of the recording, but the piano was also out of tune and it was only done on an iPad. And I think that was my first attempt. So
Oh, it was pretty
that's
good for a first attempt.
the first piece I recorded. Yes.
Yes. Great. So I just want to go back a bit now on your timeline. So can you tell us about your background, where you grew up, and your first experience of the piano?
Well, as I was born in Warsaw in Poland, and for the first 8 years of my life, I lived there in Warsaw in a lovely house, which we shared with grandparents and my mother, father, and
Yeah.
two of my siblings. And my mother had Schroeder. Um I don't know whether anybody remembers does make anymore. I don't think they make them anymore. It's a German Schroeder, and she had a big black beast, as I
Yes.
used to think of it, big grand piano. And I used to spend a lot of time just coming to it and I don't know, experimenting with it and playing notes and tunes I heard on the radio, or lots of Polish folk songs and carols and things like that.
Well.
That was without sort of really being taught. I just did it totally of my own accord.
Yes.
And then when I was 3 years old, my elder sister was having piano lessons, and she wasn't really doing all that well, despite in the future life. She really, later on in her life, she absolutely adored music, classical music, and especially opera. But in those days, she was 8 years old, and I don't think she actually enjoyed playing the piano at all. So
Okay.
it was decided between parents and the teacher that they will stop the lessons with Ella, and then just as the teacher was leaving the house, she heard the same piece of music which my poor sister, was struggling with for so long, played
Yes.
in totally different key, absolutely not perfect. And they went to see, and they found me sort of standing there, underneath the keyboard. See, I was only three, and his
Oh.
hands sort of like there, playing, not
Wow.
even seeing the keyboard. And and the teacher said, "Oh, wow, right." And my mom said, "Well, she's always at the piano. She loves being listening to music. Can't keep her away from the radio, especially if it's piano music." But so we didn't really think much about it because she's only 3 years old. So the teacher checked my pitch, discovered her perfect pitch. Then she checked my sense of rhythm, and then she played with me, good games and things like that. And I was so happy. And she said to my mother, my parents, that really she is very talented. But if I were you, I would leave it for a while until she's 6 years old.
Yes.
Um, I think that was a wrong decision, and why it was a wrong decision, you'll find out later on. But um, so I was left to my own devices with my mum supervising and buying lots of music for me and so on. And then I was 6. This teacher came back and worked with me for 1 year. And then I went to Warsaw School of Music until I was for 2 years. And then my father was appointed attaché, diplomatic attaché for Merchant Navy in Moscow. So the
Oh,
whole
well.
family obviously moved to Moscow. My brother went to university there straight away. He was 18. My sister went to school, and of course, parents decided they're going to find a music school for me. Unbeknown to them, they found the Central School of Music attached to Moscow Conservatoire, which then was the top music school in the world.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
they made an audition for me, and I went for this audition thinking, oh, this is good, because in Poland I did so many concerts already as a little prodigy. So I went to the audition, and oh dear. The verdict was, yeah, she's very talented, but she's got no technique. Her hand is far too small, and we just don't know what to do with this. I mean, obviously there is something there, but we don't know what it is. So they said there is some musicality and something, yes, is in there. So we'll give you a chance. We'll audition, and we will let you stay at school for 6 months as a sort of trial period, and see, we'll re-audition in 6 months' time. So that was very, very difficult 6 months. I don't think, I mean, I worked so hard. By then I just turned 9 years old, and I practiced maybe 5-6 hours a day.
Yeah.
Then I had to learn all my academic subjects in Russian, and I was studying with a fantastic teacher. She really inspired me, Professor Tatiana Evgenina. And in my class was Andrei Gavrilov, late Tatiana Shabanova, Natalia Gavrilova, all the people who were, you know, later on. And I mean, I heard them play, and I thought, oh my God, what am I doing here?
Yes.
They can play the piano. They play proper pieces. I hadn't even done a 2-part invention by then. And they were already playing concertos. So, and this is what I was saying, they started when they were 3 years old. At that school, you can go when you're 3 years old, and you start, you know, by the time you get to the age of, you already studied for 5 years.
Yes.
Properly. So you're already very established with the technique and everything.
Well,
so, you know.
And how many hours did they get you to practice at that time when you were very young?
Between about 5-6 hours a day I had. And it was hard because I was so young,
yes.
You know, but I was determined to do it. I was determined to pass an audition 6 months later, and I passed it with flying colors. And they said they just don't know how I did it. But no that. And then, you know, I absolutely loved my time in Moscow and my friends there, and my teachers, and especially Tatiana Evgenia Kessner. She was a very formidable looking lady. When first time I saw her, I almost died with fright. She was very big, and she wore this huge, all the time, for all 6 years I was there, she was wearing this big, very dark dresses, and I remember sort of cameo brooch here, and her hair was all up, typical sort of Russian bun. And she really looked frightening. But she had a heart of gold. Although she was extremely strict with me, extremely strict, but in a very nice way. I really loved her to bits, and we kept in touch for a long time until she died. We kept in touch. Then after I went back to Warsaw.
Well, and I guess they got you learning the standard repertoire like Bach and Mozart and Chopin etudes. Am I right?
Chopin etudes did not. Well, yes, you could have done them, but basically, no, we did lots of Czerny, lots of Clementi, of course, basically the amount of Bach, Beethoven, Chopin thing. The Liszt and Chopin studies I did couple, but basically they really very much wanted you to do the basic, you know, this Czerny and the 740 Czerny, and then Moszkowski and Clementi Grados at Parnasu. I suppose, yes. I think within first year I was there, I did my first concerto, which was Bach F minor concerto, which is still very, very dear to me. But to think that when I went there at 9 years of age, and I haven't even played Invention, and I was 10, I was already playing a concerto. You know, the amount of work I've done and the way it was done, I don't think I ever felt that I was working that hard. I just loved it.
Yes.
And then I went back to Poland with a Chopin F minor concerto 6 years later, and I played that on my entry audition in Warsaw. And they kind of, after the first movement, they say, "Yes, you're in, no problem." You know.
Wow, what a story!
Yeah, and then I just straight away got a Chopin scholarship for 4 years in succession. And I studied with wonderful teachers in Warsaw as well, with Professor Mosakiewicz and Professor Zbierzycki, very famous professor who, for a time, we also taught about the Argerich and some other wonderful, massive, huge names, Małżeński, Haraszewicz.
Yes.
So, and I won lots of competitions, and I was traveling up and down Poland and everything, and it was great. But then it all came to an end, and I had to decide what on earth I'm going to do in the future.
Yes.
During that time, I lost my mother when I was 17, so that was a very tragic time for me.
Yeah.
So I just stayed with my father. My sister married by then, and so I was on my own with that. And Professor Zbierzycki suggested to me that I'll try either Juilliard or maybe go to Manchester to study with Professor Richard Bax. And I thought, my goodness, I've heard his play and I love his playing, and I love his mazurkas, and I love his deep sound and this long phrase and all these things. And I thought, Juilliard is such a long way away. I don't even speak English. So
No.
England is a little bit near us. So as it happened, Professor Bax was for a few days in Warsaw, and I was playing Ronda alla Krakowiak in the Philharmonic Hall as my graduation piece. And he came to it. And he came to me backstage and he said, he used to say, if you want to come and study in Manchester, here is an entry form. Complete this and come to the Warsaw airport. I'm flying first thing tomorrow morning back to Manchester. If you want to, right, come to the airport. So I did. Now I spent half of the night talking through with my father, and eventually he said, "Yes, if that's what you want." You know, now I'm 19 years old, so well, no, I wasn't quite. I was still 18.
Yes.
It's your future. Decision's yours. And I said, right, I would toddle off to the Manchester to Warsaw Airport about 7 in the morning and see that's there. And I did. And I was accepted straight away at Royal Oven. And I was there for 6 years with Professor Bax, 5 years undergraduate and 1 year postgraduate. I had a scholarship given to me by the college, which was very kind of them. And I did loads and loads of concerts, including 3 Wigmore halls, and won lots of competitions, including Dudley International one, and played with many orchestras and did lots of concerts.
Oh, great!
And then that was it.
And how did you adjust to your life in England after moving from Poland?
Very difficult. It was very difficult for me because my school in Warsaw was lovely in the park, and here I arrived in this really then very, very dark and depressing Manchester with the buildings black and terrible and and I didn't speak any English, and I found it difficult to somehow integrate with people. But I think after about 5-6 months, I adjusted, and I was speaking English by then, and it was much easier. I made lots of friends, and it was fine. The first 6 months were very, very, very terrible. The depression, it was horrendous. I cried most of the time, but I worked very hard. I was very happy working with Professor Bax, but it was hard work too. But I was used to it, so it didn't bother me.
I'm sure you were after studying in Russia.
Yeah. That's a bit better. Let's see them.
Yeah, so I wanted to ask you now about performance. So, out of doing recitals, concertos, or chamber music, which one of those is your favourite type of performance to do?
Well, I know, unfortunately, I've had very little. I've done very little chamber music. I just never had time to do too much. I've done some quintets and some quartets and so on while I was in college, and also I needed it for the international competitions. I did like the one in La Scala when you have to play. I did Schubert Lieder with a singer, and then I also did Schumann Quintet in semi-final. So, but I did not, honestly, I did not have much time for chamber music. But
yes.
I love concertos, absolutely love concertos. But now, unfortunately, I have not played a concerto for many, 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 many years. And most all the engagements I receive are all solo recitals, and I wish somebody would offer me a concerto.
Yeah, it's nice.
So as I am getting on, there's not going to be much time before I have to hang my hands up somewhere because they're getting a bit tired now. So would be nice.
And which of the concertos that you've played are your favourites?
I think the concerto I would like to do if I get a chance, my sort of farewell concerto performance, hopefully maybe not, but it would be Chopin one, Chopin E minor.
Yes.
Definitely. Well, I love the Grieg, I love Beethoven one, I do lots of Mozart concertos, Bach concertos, Schumann, but I think Chopin E minor would be, or F minor, but I think E minor would be my something I would really like to do.
Yes.
I have actually.
Sorry.
I've actually done it on one piano a few years ago at Chetham's. Mary McLaughlin, who is the director of the International Summer School, have asked me when he invited me, for my almost annual appearance there, if I would do a Chopin E minor on one piano. And I said, no, you must be kidding. No way. I thought 2 or 3. Then I thought, well, why not? I like challenge and I like to work hard. So I thought, right, I'll do it. It was sheer murder, to play all the keys all the way, as well as millions of notes for the solo piano, plus adding some voices here, there, and everywhere.
Yes.
It was hellish. But I made my own. Version of the Romanta, and the second one. I didn't play the Balakirev version. I played my own. So.
Right, yeah, because there are some Chopin pieces that can be played with orchestra or just with the piano as well.
Yes.
But I think the concertos are slightly different, aren't they?
They certainly are.
Yes.
Absolutely, it was not much fun, I can tell you. I was exhausted when I finished. I almost fell on the floor after I finished that performance.
Yes. And I know there are lots of arrangements of concertos like by Beethoven as well, just for piano, that have been done before.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think I would prefer to do it, with the orchestra, so I do have little breaks.
Yes.
So it doesn't 42 minutes non-stop,
Yeah, definitely. So which composers do you love to play most of all, if you have any?
I think my favorite composer since I was a child in Moscow, Bach.
Oh, yeah.
I adore, yes, and I love playing fugues. And I like modern fugues and whatever fugue there is, where there is a fugue, I'll go for it. I just adore fugues. Bach, also Chopin.
Yes.
Too, obviously. And then I think whoever I play, it becomes my favorite.
Yes.
I would not think I do not want to play. I can now pick and choose. Maybe when I was in college and so on, you had to do certain things. When you're younger, you have to play this. You have to, for a competition, you have to play this, something else. I don't have to do that. I've done it. I've been there. I wore that T-shirt, and now I can just choose what I want to play, and what I really like, and what I know suits me, and it's best for me.
And I guess even when you get invited to do a recital, they'll let you decide which music to play?
Mostly, yes. I very often as a courtesy, ask whether there's anything they would like me, maybe a specific composer they would like to, or maybe if I'm doing a lot of Chopin, maybe a specific Chopin piece they would like to hear. So, you know, but other than that, no, I just, well, some people don't ask anything, you just do whatever you want, and they say, oh, what a lovely program.
Yes, that's great. Well, I just want to take a moment to say hello to a few people who are watching us live, and I'm sure you know a lot of these people. So we've got here Rachel Starritz.
Yes, hello, Rachel.
Hello, we've got John Roberts, who, that isn't a relation of mine, another guy. We got Fiona Morgenhauser, Becky Jones, Veronica Foreman.
That's my former student, Becky Jones, yes.
Oh, great. So, thank you for joining.
Oh, that's from United States.
And then we've got, I'll just name a few more. We've got Carol Haynes, Dawn Hardwick. Yeah. We've got my wife, Patricia, watching, Claudia Santiago, and Juliet Richards. So thank you, everybody, for joining today. I hope you're enjoying the interview. So I wanted to move on to talk about teaching. So how has teaching pianists and giving masterclasses influenced your own playing?
I think, do you actually teach yourself too?
Yes, I do.
Yes, and so you realize how much we actually learn through teaching others, don't we? I mean, you have to listen so carefully. You've got to look at so many different aspects of the piece and adjust the program for the right student and so on. So you do learn, I think, a lot about teaching through teaching. And I teach, I don't teach very much at the moment, not anymore. I was at Cheetham School of Music for 28 years.
Oh, yes.
And then I decided that, you know, that was a long time. And that's actually, after I left Cheetham, I went back on the stage. I had a very long break from performing for over about 15 years when I did not play. But when I left Cheetham, and I didn't know what to do with myself, so I started practicing again. Yes. And then that teaching at the moment, I don't have much teaching. Mostly I concentrate on giving master classes in this country and all over the world. I've done a lot in Japan and Singapore, Malaysia and States and many places, a lot in Europe and UK and so on. But yet I learn from every lesson. I learn something. I know they quite from me, but I also learn a lot from them. And I like teaching adult amateurs too. That gives me a lot of pleasure. They are very kind of well, they're more involved in it. They work hard and harder than the children who said, "Mommy and Daddy want me to play the piano, but I don't want to." I'm sure I'm sure all the teachers know that. Sorry?
I'm sure every teacher relates to that.
Oh, yes, I'm sure we all do. Yes. So, but as I say, the moment I'm basically performing and giving master classes, doing a little bit of private teaching, doing it online, I found rather difficult, but I'll be doing it online next month for the Cheetham Summer School. So so I'm learning how to do it, but it really tires me out terribly at my age. It's not easy. But I'm enjoying. I love teaching. I love giving master classes. That's really what I like, and I also enjoy jury work too. I like that.
Yeah, it's great, and I found teaching adults, sometimes you have to help them with their own self-belief as well, don't you?
Yes, they don't believe. No, they think, oh, I'm absolutely rubbish, and so on. And they're not. They're so good and play really well. Just need a little bit of push, a little bit of advice, a little bit of something, explain something to the help with the fingering, maybe. but I've been really very lucky with adult amateurs I have had in the past at Cheethams. Most of them were really brilliant.
Oh yeah,
So, yeah.
that's great. And I just wanted to talk about you had some performances that were unfortunately cancelled this year. So can you just tell us a little bit about where you were going to travel to and what you were going to perform, etc.?
Yes. Well, my main performing engagement, which was cancelled, was Malaysia and Singapore in April
Yeah.
this year. So that has been now at the moment is under negotiation for July next year. So
Okay.
I think I'll be there. There I do concerts and master classes, and it's mainly with children or young people who are going to college or people who are already in college there or preparing for some competition. So that was my main engagement in April, but I missed some engagements in this country, in Carlisle and other places, and lots of master classes too. So all that. So, but nothing at the at the moment my diary looks as though my next concert is not until March next year. So it's an awfully long time yet.
Yes, and I guess it's hard because sometimes you want to play different music as well, and if you've already arranged the program, you have to stay with that program as well.
No, I've decided not to do that too much. No, I've decided to slightly alter it. Yes, I'm altering it a little. I can't keep going playing the same things for another year or so. I mean, I go bonkers. I mean, it's like it's on and on. You get so bored. You get blasé. You think, oh, I can play, so I don't need to practice it. And suddenly, sort of 2 years before recital, you think, oh my goodness, I'm playing this. Am I? Oh, you start playing it, and it's rubbish. So I'm keeping some works. I was actually this time I was asked if I would keep such a work. For example, Kindersen, I'm going to play again. I'm going to play those in Carlisle and back in Singapore. And the first 2 concerts I have in March are in Wales, and it's totally different program. It's all Chopin recital with narrator about Chopin's life and so on. So it is totally different. That's apart from totally different project to the other recitals which are coming after. So I have a recital. My Carlisle recital has been moved now to April next year, and that's I'm altering the program there slightly, and so also for Singapore and Malaysia, I'm altering the works. Yes, but I'm keeping some. I'm keeping Kindersen and I'm keeping Hebridean dances.
Yes. That's great. So I wanted to ask you, on the day of the concerts, do you play through the pieces, or do you just do little parts, or you don't play them at all?
It depends. It really varies. It depends what piano there is, how traveling happens. Whether I have to travel a long way or if I have to travel somewhere, then I will just maybe play for 10 minutes, 15 minutes before I leave home. And I get there, I might just play Fuel, and I'm just try the piano, and that's it. I might do nothing. Sometimes you have a delay in the train, and you're more or less just in time to get changed and and straight to the piano. But if I'm somewhere, for example, where I arrive the day before, then I have the whole morning to practice. Then I can then practice for 2-3 hours, and I can take it to bits, and then or I can just chill out.
It's funny, isn't it? Because sometimes you don't play very much, and then it goes really well, and then the opposite could happen, and lots of different things like that as well.
Yeah, I know it's a strange profession, isn't it? You just never know. You think, oh, I'm so well prepared. I mean, it's going to be great. And suddenly you play and it's not great anymore. And you just don't know why.
Yes. So I just wanted to say as well to anyone watching live, if you have a question, feel free to put it in the comments, and then I'll ask Alicia when you do that, because we've got a few more minutes left here. So you've already mentioned that you've got some dates for next year from concerts that were postponed, and what other future plans do you have for performing and teaching as well?
For performing or
performing and teaching.
Well, I will be teaching in Singapore and Malaysia. I believe there is quite a big waiting list. I was fully booked for those few days, and I think that's definitely going to be there. Now, I do quite a lot of master classes in places like Cheetham's, Conservatoire, and well, all over the place. At the moment, there's no dates because nobody's doing anything. People are doing basically online, and tutors are working with their own students, and I don't think there are many master classes. Maybe there are some, but I have not had any at the moment plans. I only have plans for recitals at the moment, and I hope there will be some master classes eventually. But I would prefer to wait until you can do it one-to-one rather than online. My equipment at home is not, I don't have extra microphones and God knows amplifiers or anything like that. So it's very basic. It's okay, but it's not ideal for it. So if I want to give a good master class, I would really like to have something better. But performing wise, I had because I did all this self-recording, so about 38 pieces or 40 pieces I did during lockdown. When I finished doing all this, I felt really down and I just didn't know what to do with myself. So I thought I'll learn for the third time, try to learn for variations in C sharp minor. I don't know whether you know this piece. It's very beautiful.
Yes.
I taught it a couple of times. I absolutely love it. I spent about 10 days trying to plow my way through it. I thought, forget it. It's not me. Doesn't go in here, doesn't go in here, doesn't go in my hands. It's just terrible.
Oh.
So I decided that I'm going to have another project, and I couldn't decide. And then suddenly it dawned on me that I really never done very many Chopin preludes. So my project is 24 Chopin preludes.
Oh, great.
So that's what I'm working on. That's my main lockdown project.
Well, I'm surprised you haven't played that before, to be honest.
No, I played maybe 6 or 7 of them. I recorded the C sharp minor one, Opus 45, but after the Opus 20, I may have 6, maybe 7 or 8. That's it.
Yes.
Not so, and that was a long, long time ago. So it's really a big project for somebody at my age, but I'm loving it.
Yeah, because they are, some of them are like etudes, really, aren't they? As well.
Some of them are just like etudes. That's right. I mean, it's 24 incredibly beautiful little pieces, which you started and you finished it, even but they are hellishly difficult.
Yes.
Even the slow ones, the famous ones, they're also very difficult to really project well and to do something with them so that it's
Yes.
But never mind. It's a project, and I'm hoping to do the whole opus in Carlisle next April. If I have to do them somewhere else before, I think I'll probably do just 6 or maybe 8 or 12, but not the whole cycle. I don't think I'll be able to do it yet.
Well, hopefully you can.
No, I'm looking forward to them.
Okay, so Dawn Hardwick said in the comments she'd like to hear about injuries and recovery from those.
Oh, Dawn! She's my wonderful former student.
Yes. I did see her perform once in Cardiff a long time ago as well.
Yes. Well, injuries were played I had many injuries in my life. I'm
Oh,
afraid probably the huge amount of work I did when I was growing up as a child in Moscow
yes,
could not have been healthy. What I did in those 6 months
yeah,
was so huge that it had to affect my hands eventually at some point. But I was okay with it until I think I was 18, and that was my first real injury. I was doing lots of list studies,
yes,
and again went at them like a crazy woman, and I got very very bad tendinitis in
oh,
this hand. Um, that was in Poland, and I was treated in hospital with cortisone injections, and that was okay.
yes,
A few years later, it came back again. That was already in England, and I was told not to play the piano for about a year. But I couldn't do that because I'm in college. So
yes,
what I did, they said, okay, if you really need to practice, then we'll just give you, you'll be getting 12 injections every month into
wow,
me. It was just a horrendous pain. And you couldn't play the piano for 3 days, but then you could again. And then it started again. Eventually, they managed to cure all this.
yes,
And I've been suffering from pains in my hands for on and off. If I practice too much or I'm too, if I've learned how to balance my program.
yes,
So if I for a preludes in the second half, my first half will be very very quiet, and it won't be, it won't be acrobatics on the piano at all. It'll be very gentle.
yes,
And my last injury was here. I had to, and those the blood wasn't going through to my hand, and I had an operation. I was in plaster for a month, and after that, that hand's been better than ever. So
oh, that's good. Yeah, because
yeah,
we spend a lot of time making our hands do unnatural things when we practice, so
absolutely.
it
And
happens.
don't sit, and we don't even sit in a natural position. We don't do anything naturally when you hit the piano. Your
Yeah,
neck's hurting, the lower back is hurting, legs are hurting, everything is painful. Yeah, but it, coming out of injuries, you have to take it very easy. You really cannot,
yes, yeah,
you cannot just go straight into it. You've got to very, very gently come back because it'll return. Now I'm better now, but
that's good.
my freezer backs are always there. I've got all the things are always ready to maybe immediately put as soon as I feel discomfort. Ice pack comes.
Yeah. Um, well, I'm glad you recovered and then you found your way to manage it and to stop it hopefully coming back,
Yes.
or
No,
hopefully it doesn't come
no,
back. I mean,
no,
um,
hopefully not.
yeah,
I mean, if it comes back now, I'll ever manage.
yes. So we've got another question from Beverly Priest. She asks,
Yes.
"Do you like playing
Hello, Beverly.
Hello, Beverly. She asks, "Do you like playing Rachmaninoff?"
Well, right. I love Rachmaninoff,
Yeah.
but he doesn't like me, I'm afraid.
Okay.
My hand, not exactly the best hand for Rachmaninoff. My hand is very small.
Right.
I've got fast fingers and I've got very quick breaks, stretches, but I cannot play Rachmaninoff very well to my own satisfaction. I mean, I love to listen to it and I mess about with it, but that's all. I don't. I am not Rachmaninoff player. I'll feel it, but I have difficulties with it.
Yeah, it's because I love to play his music, but I also like to play Metna, and I don't know if you played much Metna, but I found it's much more.
No, John Hardwick always tells me to play Metna.
Yeah, but it's very
No,
nice for the hands.
I have to be. I just have to be very careful, really, what I do, and these, those massive stretches in Rachmaninoff
Yes.
and the sheer power. It would kill me. I mean, I did play the second concerto. It was okay, but I wasn't. I didn't feel that I did it justice.
Yeah.
And I've done preludes, and I've done the whole of Etude Tableau, Opus, the first one, Opus 33.
Yes.
I've done all those, and I love them. and everybody said how well I played them. I didn't enjoy it as much as I enjoyed listening to it. I didn't actually enjoy playing it so much.
Oh well. Juliet Richards asks, how many hours approximately do you normally practice every day?
Well, if I have concerts coming up, and a lot of them, and some of them may have slightly varied repertoire, it could be 4-6 hours, between 4 to 6 hours, usually minimum 4. At the moment, I'm doing much less because I'm, I don't have pressure, so I can just go and play. Besides, I just play 2 or 3 preludes a day, an hour and a half, 2 hours, 3 hours maybe. I don't have anything pressing, so I can really work on it without any injuries, without tiredness or sort of feeling fed up with it. I'm actually enjoying it. So,
yes.
But normally the concert between 4 to 6 hours. Yeah.
Yeah, it's funny because I know some pianists actually. They like having this time where they don't have a lot of concerts coming, so they can really rest a bit and then work on new repertoire as well, and have more space.
Yeah, that's exactly what I'm doing.
Yes.
I'm resting and just learning some more Chopin.
Lovely. Well, Patricia, my wife, she says, hope you come to perform and give masterclasses in Brazil when everything is better again.
That would be lovely. You have to invite me.
Yeah, we'll see if we can organise something maybe.
That'd be wonderful, thank you. Let's wait for everything to finish, because this is just hellish, this lockdown, and
yes,
and what, even if everything opens on Saturday, suddenly it may all be closed again, because it might come back, and this uncertainty of everything. Yeah.
Yes. So I think we've got time for 2 more questions, if that's okay with you.
Fine. That's fine.
Dawn Hardwick asks, how have you enjoyed playing the John McLeod, and would you consider delving more into contemporary music?
Oh, I really enjoyed the Hebridean dances very, very much. I've heard them actually when I was doing an assessment at Cheatham's, and Rose McLaughlin, Mary McLaughlin's daughter, played them.
Oh yes.
Part of it.
Yeah.
And then she played them all, and when she finished, I thought, God, what a wonderful piece of music that is. She sold it to me, absolutely sold it to me. And because I know John McLeod, I got in touch with him and said to him, how much I enjoy this, and where can I get the music? He said, don't you worry, it's in the post. And he sent me a music signed and everything. And I think they're just wonderful. Delving into more contemporary music, no, that is not my strength.
Yes.
I can do, but that is not what gives me greatest pleasure. Although I really did enjoy the Hebridean dances, but they're little miniatures, and they're so expressive, and there's so much in them. But no, I think now for contemporary music, I am a little bit too old now, frankly, to start something in which I don't feel comfortable. No, I really want to play what I'm comfortable in. Yes. Well, I'd like to listen to some of it, and I wouldn't mind maybe a little bit of something similar to this, would be, to John McLeod thing would be fantastic. But if it really becomes extremely contemporary, you have to, go inside the piano and bash the strings and put paint and God knows what in it.
Yes.
Absolutely. I once had to play a piece of music for a competition, which was very contemporary, written especially for that competition. And part of it, you played with your elbows like this, like this, like this,
like wow.
This, like this, and like this. You have to actually play like this with fists. This is not music, To me, that it doesn't mean anything.
Yeah.
So that's Dawn. I'm afraid it's my answer.
Well, luckily there's enough people who can play that kind of music, and enough people who like it, whether you do or don't.
Yeah. Exactly, this is it. I mean, there's so many people who are fantastic in that
Yes.
kind of music. I don't want to try to compete with them because I know I'm not going to be able to do it. So I stick to what I can do best
Yes.
and what I feel good at.
Great. So we got time for one more question. If you've asked a question, maybe later myself and Alicia can look at them in the replay comments, and then maybe we can answer to you as well. But we've got one more from John Roberts, and he asks, "Do you enjoy listening to other styles of music away from classical?"
Pardon, I didn't quite get it.
Sorry,
Didn't quite understand the question.
do you like listening to other styles of music outside of classical music?
Yes. I know why he's asking.
All right.
Yeah. I do, but I like classical jazz. That probably
Yes.
is far as I will venture out of classical music. Classical jazz, and especially on the piano. But pop music, no, I cannot actually stand it.
Yes.
I don't know if that's enough answer to John. I can discuss it with him and easily.
Yes. Because
But,
of course, like jazz and classical have a lot of connections, so that could be why.
yeah.
Great.
But I love to listen to it, but I cannot play it. I tried, but it's just I don't seem to have that kind of I don't know, don't have the right mechanism in my fingers to play just piano. Just doesn't
Yes.
work, and I don't know, the touch is not right, and I find it I just can't do it. I must admit, totally incapable.
Yes. Well, thank you very much for your time today, Alicia. It's been really nice to chat and ask you some questions today.
Well, thank you very much for inviting me. I really enjoyed it very much. And it's very nerve-wracking this, but
No, it's great. And we've had quite a number of viewers on Facebook, and I'm sure we'll get a lot of replay viewers as well.
Right.
Great. So, do you have anything you'd like to say to everyone before we play another video of yours to finish?
Well, I say, thank you very much for joining on Facebook to listen to this interview, and thank you very much for your questions. And I hope I answered some of them, and you found whatever I said of some interest, or maybe I don't know. But thank you very much. And thank you, Daniel, as well.
Thank you. It's been a pleasure. So we're going to play another short video of Alicia playing the Chopin Etude in A-flat major from Opus 25, number 1.